Hi, friends. Welcome to another What If Wednesday workshop. My name is Heather Zink, your host of the Olive Groves community. I am so glad that you're here today. Our topic for today might be a little bit scary for you to think about, but what if you could redesign your role around your values? Have you ever thought about your core values? So, if you are in the Olive Groves community and going through Monday Morning Joy, our first week was focused on looking at our energy and really examining where we spend our time. The second week is focused on the core values, your core values as a human being, in day 8 of week 2. For that Monday Morning Joy is a list of core values. And so I want you, if you've gone through that exercise, to think about what is that one value that's non-negotiable for you at work. If you haven't gone through that exercise, I would mind you to pause this replay and go back and take a look at that list. But is it autonomy, creativity, collaboration, impact? My personal non-negotiable is joy. My 5 core values are purpose. So having some sort of purpose. I need to be doing something. I need to have a purpose, a greater vision. Joy, community, learning, and the environment. But my non-negotiable is joy. And so whatever you named as your core value, that matters. And so today we are making it a non-negotiable in practice, not just in theory. So here is the big problem we've been told. Be grateful you have a job. Wait for your turn for meaningful work. Your values are a luxury, not a requirement. Fulfillment comes after you pay your dues. Meanwhile, we're sitting here checking boxes, but we're feeling empty. You're succeeding on paper, but unfulfilled in reality. You know what matters to you, but your workday is really not reflecting it. And so here is the truth. Your values aren't optional add-ons. They're actually the foundation of sustainable success. So when your work violates those core values, you resent every single Monday. You're talented, but you're disengaged from your work. You are delivering results, but losing yourself. You succeed by metrics that really don't matter to you. And this isn't really about being a difficult person. This is about aligning yourself with your values. And so, what does that actually mean when we have values alignment? It does not mean finding the perfect job where everything aligns 100%. It does mean, however, that your top 2 or 3 values are honored most days, that you have some agency over how you work, that your contributions are meaningful to you, that you're not constantly compromising what matters most. I want you to think of alignment like it's a spectrum. This is not a destination. We've all heard the term, it's about the journey, not the destination. Well, your values alignment is really a spectrum. So I want you to believe what I'm about to say, that redesign is possible, and you don't need to quit your job or start completely over or wait for permission or to have a new title. You can, right now, today, reshape parts of your current roles. You can have strategic conversations. You can make values-based trade-offs. You can influence that day-to-day reality with those small shifts. I attended a workshop where a gal said 10% change, 10%. We're not trying to completely remake something. And if you even think about completely remaking something or completely redesigning anything, it takes a lot of little bitty changes. So think about that. So I want you to take out your phone, take out a piece of paper, whatever that is, and look at that non-negotiable value. Again, for me, it's joy. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well is your current role honoring that value? So I want to sit with that for a minute. What would move you up just 2 points? Be specific and be honest with yourself. So, a couple of different strategies on how we can get into this values alignment work. Having a conversation with your manager, or the leader of your department, whoever it is that helps control, assign, dictate what your work is. And we don't want to go in with disrespect. And we don't want to go in with a sort of direct approach of, I'm unhappy and I need everything to change. If you have ever been a manager, you know that those are empty things that you hear from your people. And when you get that, which you often do, you have to coach them and ask them questions about, well, what is it that you're unhappy about? And what is it that you'd like to change? And trying to decipher all of that. Instead, let's be strategic. So you want to lead with the business value. Always. You are working for someone. Or maybe you're working for yourself and it would be a different approach. But I'm going to approach this situation for if you are working for another company, that you are not self-employed. And you lead with that business value. I've really noticed that I do my best work when this value is honored. What if we explored ways to create more opportunities for that? Example for Heather with Joy. I notice that I do my best work when I have a mix of in-person time and a mix of alone time, because the in-person time actually like brings me joy to sit and see smiles on people's faces and have breakfast with them and coffee with them and all of that human interaction. I get excited for that. And so how can we create more opportunities for that? Come with the solution. I'd like to take on more values aligned work. So I'd like to take on, maybe we have a culture problem. Again, we're relating back to the joy experience for me, but maybe we have a culture problem and we're getting a lot of just grumbling and nobody seems to be excited about anything. So let me take on some of that. Here's what I'd like to shift or delegate to make more room for that. Frame it and then finally, frame it as a mutual benefit. When I am working on parentheses, values aligned projects, my engagement and outputs increase significantly. So you're not asking for a favor, you're really proposing that win-win. So lead with that business value, come with solutions always. We don't want to come with problems, we want to come with solutions. Managers will appreciate that more than anything. As someone who used to lead a department, if you're coming to me with, hey, I'm seeing this and this and this, okay, Heather can't always create all the solutions. So come with the solution, frame it as a mutual benefit for the organization, for your department, for your team. And I think you'll be surprised at, if you have a decent manager, that they might be willing to do something like that. So let's think of some other examples. So if if autonomy is your value, talk about, maybe you say something like, I'd like to discuss having more ownership over project decisions. What would need to be true for you to feel comfortable with that? And so asking those questions and having these conversations. If growth is one of your core values, I'm ready to stretch into new opportunities. What skills does the team need that I could develop? Instead of saying, hey, I see this need for this thing, I want to go do this. Go in with an eyes wide open. Maybe that manager is coming from an executive team meeting where they said, oh my gosh, we need to open up this new line of business. I have nobody with these skills. Well, if you come in and say, hey, I'm ready to stretch into new challenges and grow, you met that person right where they were at. If creativity is one of your values, is that top value for you? Hey, I have ideas for improving this process. Could I pilot a small experiment? Managers love a pilot. I mean, I love a pilot because little teeny things that we can do, not great big change, just again, turning the dial just a little bit, but piloting puts it all on you to do a little experiment. It's the whole scientific method that we all learned in grade school. What's your little question? Hey, I noticed these things. Here's my results. Going back and sharing those pieces. So, those are some ways that you can offer value while also asking for alignment for yourself. And another thing you can do is negotiate for meaningful work. And I don't mean negotiate for a promotion. I'm talking about the things that you can negotiate for, which might be project selection. So I'd like to be considered for projects involving X, which is aligned with your core value. Maybe you can negotiate for your work methods. I am most effective when I can work independently on X. Maybe your collaboration style. Maybe you're somebody who's horrible at working alone and you love to collaborate with other people. Hey, I do my best thinking when we're in smaller group settings so that I can bounce those ideas off of the other people. So approaching your manager with those types of things. Or maybe you have some schedule flexibility where my focus is really strong in the morning or really strong at night. And so you'd like to and that's then where your core value can really hit home. So the key here is really showing how honoring your values makes you more valuable to the business, not more difficult. How then can you make values aligned career decisions? So the pieces we've talked about already are really focused on your current role. So remembering that every career choice you make is actually a values choice. We all need a job. We all want, most of us want to work. And so before saying yes to a promotion or a new project or a lateral move or maybe a stretch assignment that you really don't have time for, but you're thinking, oh, I need to do this, you should ask yourself these questions. Does this honor my top values or does it compromise them? Because if you're going to add something, friends, it is going to take away from something else. We only have a finite amount of time. How are we going to utilize that? Go back to week one. How do I spend my energy? Number two, what will this require me to sacrifice? So really getting into the weeds and the details of what you will have to sacrifice if you accept this new decision. Number three, am I saying yes because it looks good or because it is good for me? Will future me, this is my favorite, will future me thank me for this decision? Not every opportunity is your opportunity. I'm going to share a personal example of another value that I mentioned before, that I want to have a purpose. And when I accepted my one of my leadership positions where I started to manage a team, I was asked to start managing people. Full transparency, going through my career, management never seemed like something I was interested in. I wanted to be responsible for me. I wanted to control the pieces that I would able to control. It didn't feel good to have to be reliant on others. I was the one who hated group projects in high school, in college, in really any work environment. I could work with others. I just didn't love it. So when I decided to take this leadership role, I had grown into a space where it was, okay, I have reached capacity to be able to have this big purpose in the company and have this role. I have reached my own capacity. And so my new purpose was to help manage the department and lead that strategically, but also my new purpose was to help others on my team learn these skills. I've never been someone who wanted to dictate and micromanage my team. I abide by a servant leadership. How can I make your job easier? What can I do to get barriers out of your way? This is how I believe that management should be looked at, because management is not about us and what we think. It's about how do you get the most out of your employees. And so my new purpose was this succession planning of, I want to be able to walk away and someone else know all the things that I know. I want them to be able to collaborate on these ideas and do that. So that was where I had to make that decision of, okay, this is going to change my work life 100%, but this is a new purpose for me. And so I stepped into that position and I absolutely loved it. And so if moving into a new position you're not there, let's come back to the altering your workday right now. So you really have more control than you think. So I want you to try one. I want you to maybe batch align or batch the work that aligns most with your values during your peak energy. If you're that morning person, how can you put together the things first thing in the morning that you love to work on? And so you get excited about getting up in the morning to do that. What if you declined one meeting that doesn't serve your priorities? No one is going to fall apart if you miss one meeting. Could you propose a different approach to a project that better fits with your own values so you just enjoy doing it more? And then one of the things that I think is most easiest for you to be able to do, everyone can do it. It requires no other human being. You can block 30 minutes on your calendar for the type of work that energizes you. Non-negotiable. You can do that without asking for permission. So these little tiny shifts, these tiny rebellions, if you will, can create big change and big shift in how you go about your workday. So, but we have to get real because you don't all have managers who are going to say yes to everything and you are going to hear no. So how do you handle that? Well, we can politely figure out why. And so you can frame it like this. Can you help me understand the constraints? And so maybe there are too many constraints that are going on that are not, that this person is not able to help you with. Maybe find a partial yes. Again, 10%. What parts of what I'm asking for are possible? Maybe it's the wrong time. You may not know that there are other things happening. That's the part about being a part of a team and managing a team, that executives or directors or department heads, they know of other things that are happening and maybe it's the wrong time. So if it's the wrong time, say, can we discuss this again in a month? Can we discuss this again in 6 weeks? Something like that. And then during that time, you can start to run your little pilot experiment yourself, gather some data and build your case over time with those results that then you can take back to your manager and say, hey, this is what I was able to do. It took a little bit more of my time, but I saw that I was so much more productive and so much more valuable. So it just takes a little bit more information for them to tweak. But I also want to revisit what we talked about at the beginning, which is sometimes a no is information that your current role really has a ceiling on your values alignment. And that's useful data for your next move. So here's your bigger question is, what if this role can't honor your values? I really see about 3 choices here. You can stay and accept it, eyes wide open for the reasons that you choose, no judgment. We all need a job. There's no judgment there. You could, number 2, stay and influence things that are going on. So you could keep pushing for that incremental change if that feels good to you. Or you can start to plan your exit with intention, though, not desperation. We don't want to quit a job until we have what the next plan is. All 3 of those concepts are valid. The key, however, is making a conscious choice and not just enduring this unconsciously. That's the entire sort of, when I talk about focus on the humans, everything else will fall into place. Your human needs, your core values, thinking about those, working in accordance with those, that is about being conscious about who you are and not just kind of going through the world. So I want to wrap things up with your action plan. Don't do all of these. We're going to pick one. Okay. And some of you are at a different stage where you might be ready for, okay, Heather, I need something big to change something, or I need something big to happen Great. Let's have that values-based conversation with your manager. Think about the scripts we talked about today. Some of you may need something much more simple, which is, can you identify one task or one project that can reshape or better align with your values? Or can you make one little micro decision through your values lens? Can you scratch that meeting off? Can you say no to a commitment? Can you say yes to a commitment? But what all of you can do, every one of you, is block time for your values aligned work and protect it fiercely. If you are that morning person, 8 a.m. to 10 o'clock, that is your time. That's when you do your values aligned work. Start small, be intentional. This can help you. So, as members of Olive Groves, I really would love for you to share how this is going for you. Respond in your Monday morning joy posts, or answer some of the questions, or just share a story within the canopy. Find an accountability partner to practice having those difficult conversations. Do not hesitate to get a hold of me. I am happy to be that person, because I have been that person where I have been the manager, I have been the department leader, where folks are coming to me and asking for things. And so I'm happy to play both sides of it. I'm even happy to play your specific manager if you tell me who that is, and we can role play that situation. But I want you to also remember that values alignment is ongoing work. That's why we're in community doing this. This is not that one-time fix. You're here, you're in the canopy. This is your grove. I want you to be here. And I'll leave you with this closing thought, that your values are not negotiable, but how you honor those values is. Sometimes it's that direct conversation, small daily choice, boundary you finally set, strategic project, or great big career move. You get to decide. And that is powerful. Your values aren't negotiable, but how you honor them is. Thanks, friends. We'll see you next time.